These courageous men should be enjoying their hard-earned retirement, not facing prosecution for defending the British people.
David Lammy erupts as Keir Starmer faces backlash over defence controversy. You're not going to believe what just erupted in the halls of British politics. David Lammy, normally one of Labour's fiercest defenders, absolutely lost his composure in a heated exchange, as Keir Starmer came under fire in Parliament. And the reason? Allegations swirling around Labour's stance on defence, soldiers, and Britain's role in global security. The moment was raw, loud, and unforgettable, and it's left the Labour leadership scrambling to control the narrative. Here's how it all unfolded. During a tense Commons session, Keir Starmer was accused by critics of sending the wrong signal when it comes to national security and Britain's armed forces. The opposition and even some commentators suggested that Labour's softer approach risks undermining public trust in how the party would defend the country. For Starmer, who has spent years trying to shed Labour's image as weak on defence, this was the worst possible attack. And that's when David Lammy erupted. He shot back with fury, saying these accusations were nothing more than political smears designed to divide the country. His voice rose, his gestures sharpened, and suddenly the chamber wasn't quiet anymore, it was electrified. But here's the bigger issue. The argument didn't just stay in Westminster. It spilled out into the media, onto Twitter, and across radio call-ins within minutes. One commentator wrote, "Starmer promised strength, but all we see is hesitation." Another posted, "Lammy's defense was passionate, but it sounded like desperation." And on social media, hashtags linked to the debate trended for hours, with thousands of posts dissecting every line, every expression, every outburst. Now, let's pause and understand why this moment matters. For Labour, questions around defence and loyalty to Britain's soldiers have always been a sore spot. Going back decades, critics have painted the party as hesitant on military action, uncertain on national defence, and too cautious when faced with global threats. Starmer has worked tirelessly to push back on that narrative, visiting military bases, praising veterans, promising ironclad support for national security. But one explosive accusation, amplified in the heat of a parliamentary clash, threatens to unravel that careful image building. And Lammy's eruption, while fiery, may have poured more fuel on the fire. Inside Labour, the mood is tense. Reports suggest that senior advisers warned Starmer this line of attack was coming, that his opponents would look for any sign of weakness to frame him as unreliable on defence. And yet, the speed with which the backlash spread caught even seasoned strategists off guard. One insider whispered to a journalist, "If we can't close down this attack fast, it'll stick. And once it sticks, we'll be fighting it all the way to the election." Meanwhile, Reform and Conservative voices are seizing the moment. A Reform MP blasted Labour's response, saying, "Britain deserves leadership that puts our soldiers first, not parties that hesitate when it matters most." Conservatives, too, piled on. One backbencher described Labour's reaction as all theatre, no substance. For them, it's a perfect wedge issue, one that paints Labour as unsteady, while reinforcing their own message of strength, order, and security. But the public is far from united on this. Some saw Lammy's eruption as proof that Labour will stand firm, that they won't tolerate accusations that question their loyalty to Britain. Others saw it as exactly the opposite, a party losing control of the debate, reacting emotionally instead of leading confidently. One caller on LBC summed it up with a sting: "If you have to shout that loudly to defend your leader, maybe that says it all." And let's not forget the bigger picture. Britain is facing a volatile global stage, tensions in Eastern Europe, instability in the Middle East, and rising uncertainty around alliances like NATO. For voters, questions about who can be trusted to make life-or-death decisions for the armed forces aren't abstract, they're real. That's why this moment, Lammy's eruption, Starmer's defense controversy, isn't just another political spat. It cuts right to the heart of leadership credibility. So what happens next? Labour is expected to roll out a series of speeches and press briefings over the coming weeks to reinforce their commitment to Britain's armed forces. Expect photos with veterans, promises of defence spending, and sharp lines about never compromising Britain's safety. But will it be enough? Because once doubt creeps in, it's hard to shake. And opponents will keep hammering that doubt until it echoes in every voter's mind. Here's the takeaway. David Lammy's eruption was dramatic, headline-grabbing, and yes, it showed passion. But passion alone doesn't win elections. Credibility does. And right now, the question is still hanging in the air. Do voters see Keir Starmer as a strong, reliable leader on defense, or as a politician still shadowed by Labour's old weaknesses? That's the fight Labour is facing. And make no mistake, this is just the beginning. So what do you think? Did Lammy's fiery defense strengthen Starmer's image, or did it expose just how vulnerable Labour still is on issues of defense and national loyalty? Because one thing is certain, this clash has opened a new fault line in British politics. And the tremors are only just starting.